Wide receiver De'Zhaun Stribling's 2026 NFL draft stock soars after a dominant performance versus Georgia.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network in 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. We have to recap the quarterfinal action from the college football playoff and those NFL draft prospects that made themselves some money and raised their stocks, lost themselves some money, may have fumbled the bag a little bit, and we're going to give out our game balls from the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
No hiding from the tape. It's time for moneymakers and bag fumblers.
Keith, when you look at we had 4 games for the quarterfinals round of the college football playoff. Who made themselves some money in your opinion?
Man, I'm going to start with a guy that I think we left off earlier this week, and Matayo Uiagalelei, right? And I talked about him, and I said, listen, this young man, as far as the production when it comes down to numbers, right? Like just raw numbers, putting up the numbers that other guys have done. It's been average, right? And I think even his teammate, the edge rusher on the other side, has more sacks than him. And I said, listen, he has to make an impact play, and he did exactly that, right? And I think when I guess you call it technically a strip sack fumble, right? It was interesting. He almost pulled the Chase Young DP. What Chase Young did to Cam Ward. That was last Sunday, right? And looking at him and doing that, I think that really turned the tide of the game, because up until that point, if I'm remembering correctly, Oregon hadn't gotten in the end zone, right? I think they had the field goals, and it was tough, and it was really a defensive battle, right? Like, shout out to both teams. They came there, prepared and was ready to rock and roll. People made plays on both sides of the football, but there was a defensive battle, and Oregon had yet to score a touchdown. And you could tell when he made that play, when he got to the quarterback, took the ball from him, right? And I think the ball got like trapped on the back of the quarterback, and he had the wherewithal to realize that was a football. Took it, ran it back down to the 5-10 yard line. And then the Oregon was able to punch it in, a play or two right after that on the offensive side of the football. But I think he showed okay, I can be a edge rusher that can get some sack production, because I think that was really starting to be a question mark for him, especially for a draft prospect with the name profile that he has had as far as being a top 10 pick early on in the mock drafts and in the draft season. So Matayo Uiagalelei was the first guy that jumped off, in my opinion, as far as elevating their draft stock.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the game-changing plays, because Oregon's offense was not, I've talked about it. Texas Tech's defense is legit. They have a great defense, and Oregon's offense just couldn't get rolling. And to get that type of momentum swinging play, like in a timely manner that they needed, just the fact of how Oregon's defense played overall against that Texas Tech offense, man. Shout out to Matayo. He definitely played a good game, and again, showcasing that ability, because he won quick. It was a quick win. It was a finesse win. We know he's 6'5", 6'6", 275 or whatnot, and we know he could play with power and the length and everything. But I'll continue to say, I see the flashes of a guy that can win with quick moves and those finesse moves at that size. And I'm like, if we can get that to be consistent, he can be an 8 to 10 sack guy yearly in the NFL, because he has the physical tools to do so. Keith, I want to jump to there's a couple guys I want to jump to. I'm gonna go De'Zhaun Stribling, the wide receiver from Ole Miss. I've been talking about him a lot over the past couple of weeks, and it's for good reason. This young man has been playing really good football, and in a game that was the best game of probably college football playoffs, to be completely honest. Ole Miss versus Georgia, I think that's fair to say. Best game, right? And this is a guy who has eclipsed 60 5 yards in each of his last 4 to 5 games. And against Georgia, he was 7 of 9 for 122, 7 of 9 for 122 yards. And he had the big, like, late game, big play, catch and run down the field. They lined him up in the slot, and it was like teach tape in terms of beating man coverage. Released outside, clubbed the hand, cleared his man, and then he took off. I would have loved to see Trinidad, like, he wasn't pressured, put that ball out in front. Like, he led him back inside, which allowed him to get caught. Like, man, if you put that out in front and he just runs underneath it, that's the game-winning touchdown. Like, that's it right there. Or whatnot. You don't even. I think they ended up settling for the game-winning field goal on that drive or whatnot. But I was like, you could have really iced this game if you threw this out in front of him. But again, he had a good game against Georgia the first time. De'Zhaun Stribling did 3 for 96 in the touchdown. Again, 6'2", 210 pounds. Just another wide receiver that, guys, you better. Ole Miss last year was Trey Harris, who's done some good things this year as a rookie with the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm gonna say San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers. Now they got De'Zhaun Stribling, who transferred in from Oklahoma State. I like what I'm seeing from this young man. He's got talent, Keith.
Yeah, no, I like that. Next guy, I guess I'm gonna stick with the edge rusher theme, right? I'm gonna go with the teammates. I'm gonna go both with David Bailey and Romello Height because I think those two young men flashed early, right? And those who have been listening to us, right, for since we've been talking about him, I've had the conversation. Like, I don't know, Romello might have the more explosive first step, right? Like in I know David Bailey's the bigger name, but to the point is that both of them showed early, right? Like it was early on. I think David Bailey had the first sack where he just won strictly with speed, right? Like it just his speed overwhelmed the offensive tackle, right? Boom, he was able to get the edge, get to the quarterback. And then Romello Height, maybe less than a quarter after that, right? He had an impact too. I think he got the sack or maybe half the sack. And then it was just showing like, okay, these guys are for real, right? These two young men, the speed that they have, the explosiveness, the ability to rush the passer, the ability to affect the quarterback. Because I think early on against Oregon, that's what the impact was, right? Like Oregon offense, it seemed like every time they got going, and then they tried to get into their bag of like a passing play, right? A true passing play. And then those two guys disrupted it somehow, right? And then they ended up in 3rd and 13, now it's 4th and 15, and you got to punt the football, something like that. So I thought those two guys, they gave it all they had, right? They swung haymakers the entire time. And you can tell that they had a real impact on that football game.
No, 100%. I mean, both of them coming away with sacks. Romello Height had a sack, QB hit, and a pressure on the game with a pass rush win rate of 13%. And then you had David Bailey with a sack, 3 QB hits, a pressure, 2 batted passes. He played the run well. I think he had
that was another huge play, that rollout. He tried to do a half field read, that rollout, and then he didn't even rush. He just kind of floated near the line of scrimmage, read the quarterback's eyes, and then Oregon was trying to get the touchdown, and he jumped up and batted the pass down.
Very high IQ play, because usually you see guys in that situation like, I could get to the quarterback. It's like, but if you get to him, you kind of leaving somebody open for him to get the ball to. So that was a very high instinct, high IQ play. Those guys, I just hate that. I'll talk about that quarterback the next topic, which is not the best topic to talk about him, but I really wanted to see Texas Tech go forward in this playoffs, because of that defensive line. Lee Hunter showed up, Romello Height, like those guys played well. The linebackers did some good things. I think was it Ben Roberts got an interception, Jacob Rodriguez, like they were doing good things and keeping that Oregon offense under wraps. Keith, I'll close out my money makers. Terence Carter Jr., the tight end from Texas Tech. Texas Tech offense wasn't like it was not good, right? But this was the only guy that truly was able to make an impact in this game. He was 9 of 10, 72 yards receiving, and you just see the strong hands, the yak ability, the athleticism. Terence Carter's listed at 6'2", 245. I feel like he made himself a lot of money because in this tight end class, we know Kenya Sadiq, right? And you got Michael Trigg and Max Clare, super talented kid. Jack Andrew, super talented young man. Wish neither one of them transferred to the schools they went to because they did not get the ball the way we wanted them to. Nope. But I think Terence Carter made himself a lot of money to show teams, hey, if you need a playmaker at the tight end position, and I think when people hear 245, they're going to think like, man, he's this is not a guy that can block. Like, no, he gives effort in the run game. Like he's fine he's functional as a blocker. And I think that you can continue to work on some stuff with strength and strain and technique and things like that with him. But playmaking ability, like as a pass catcher, yeah, like this is a guy probably third round, I would say, and I wouldn't be shocked if he rips up the combine as well and probably raises the stock even more.
Yeah, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. We talk money makers. Let's talk bag fumblers, right? We talk the guys that made themselves some money, the guys that elevated their draft stock. Let's talk the guys whose stock might be on a decline after that round of the college football playoffs through the lens of the 2026 NFL draft prospects. Let's talk about that coming up next.
Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/your money. Again, that's Robinhood.com/your money. Your money, your move. What goes up, Keith, must come down.
No hiding from the tape. It's time for moneymakers and bag fumblers.
Keith, the bag, I got it. He fumbled the bag because this was the opportunity I wanted to see him play really well. Dante Moore was not great against Texas Tech. No, get me wrong. We give so much credit to Texas Tech. Dante Moore, I don't feel like he started the game out really well. Like he was managing the game well, getting the ball out quick, making the right reads and throws. And then I think as that pressure started to get to him, like because he all season he hasn't been good versus pressure. Like his worst plays have come when he's been pressured. And once David Bailey and Romello Hyatt and Lee Hunter started to collapse that pocket and started to get hands on him and he's like be physical with him, you started to see him kind of his eyes just kind of they weren't confident in what he was seeing. Because there was a throw to matter of fact, I think it might have been Kenyon Sadiq on a post route. Wide open.
Yeah, it was it a post or will, and it seemed and if we're talking about the same play, I think he kind of left it short.
So I know what you're talking about. This is a different. So it was a post play. He didn't throw it. He was wide open. He just didn't throw it. I think he ended up taking a sack or something like that.
Oh, you know what? That was the I know exactly what you're talking about. That was off of the play action, and I think they were selling heavy run, and because the announcers went over it again, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't know why he didn't throw this."
When they went to the wide angle, I was looking. I was like, what happened? I was like, you got Kenyon Sadiq wide open. It was a clear touchdown. I was like, Dante, you gotta get that ball out there. And then there was the interception, right? Like, you know what I mean? Staring down the read, things of that nature. I think he started the game out well. He managed the game well. I like what I was seeing from him early. And then once pressure started to get home, then you start to see him kind of started to unravel a little bit. And I just wanted to see him play with more poise and confidence in that situation, especially knowing that you're about to get that second dose of Indiana's defense. And they were able to sack you 6 times the first time on the road in your house and everything like that. I just wanted to see him play better, miss some throws, miss some reads, and just didn't play with enough confidence, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think DP he started pressing for whatever reason, right? Because usually guys press once it gets to the third quarter and you're down double digits, right? If you're down 10 points, then you know it. You just say, I'm gonna just start chucking it down the field, right? Just start throwing it down the field. And you seen him start the press. Like the interception was a head scratcher, right? Like why do we do that, right? Like we have the game intact. It seemed as though he was playing for a first round conversation, right? Like that's like me. I got to make some throws, XYZ. If I'm thinking about coming out or doing whatever, I got to go ahead and make some throws because some of the stuff that he was doing, like you said, he started the game off well. And Oregon was slowly chipping away at putting distance in between them and Texas Tech. So there was no reason at those moments for him to really take those those risky throws.
Yeah, and not to even cut you off real quick either. I wonder, to your point, all the talk coming into that game that he was there's some draft pundits that were already throwing him as QB1. They had him leapfrog Fernando Mendoza after the JMU game. And I think we came on here and said, I don't think the JMU game is the game we want to use to say, hey, you're QB1 because you clearly are more talented than JMU on the defensive side of the ball. I think that probably is what, not saying that he read what's Nick Saban always said, the news clippings, don't take the rat poison. But maybe he did see some of that stuff and hear some of that stuff like, you know what? I got to go prove that I'm QB1, and that kind of messed up his play a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? You went Dante Moore. I'm gonna go with his teammates. Oregon's offensive tackles. I don't think they played well. Like we talked about this matchup, and we talked about how this can be a conversation of good on good of who could balance it out. We even went and talked about the combo of these offensive tackles versus the Utah offensive tackles, right? And how Texas Tech, talking about Romello Height and David Bailey, faced them early. DP, those two guys, we just discussed them in the first segment. David Bailey, Romello Height, they won early, they won often. And they continue to be disruptive, and they did everything they could do to win that football game, right? And looking at the offensive tackles, it seemed as though, because I was surprised, and I think that's the thing with David Bailey's draft profile, is that he mostly wins with speed, and it's around the edge, right? Like it's a very finesse situation with him, right? Like most of his sack production comes from, and then you sit there and you be like, all right, they should be able to stop this, right? Like you just run around the corner, just run around the edge, be done. But they didn't stop it, right? And you're like, okay, well, maybe he's a lot quicker than what you think, right? I don't know. Maybe
he's twitchy.
Yeah, it confuses people. You're sitting there head scratching, but however it was that they won, right? They're talking about David Bailey and Romello Height and offensive tackles for Oregon with Alex Harkin. I know he got injured. He had an injury early on.
Yeah, I think he came back in the game.
And came back. Yep. But yeah, it just wasn't a great showing. I don't think, and we talked about it being resume tape. I think you probably want to get that one off your resume, right? You like, you know what? Let me get rid of this.
Yeah, no, I mean Isaiah, like Alex Harkey, he got beat for the sack and the pressure. So Isaiah World, I think this was one of those stock tanking type of games. Because again, he's got all the physical ability. He allowed 3 QB hits, 1 hurry, and 4 pressures against this duo. Like, you know what I mean? And this was not the game when you're the blind side protector. Like, this is not the game to struggle. You know what I mean? Against that pass rushing duo. With those type of guys, and dear God, if they decide to bring some simulated pressure and make y'all communicate on the offensive line, you don't know who's triggering and who's dropping off. Like, they already can get to you with 4, but if they decide to get a little exotic with it and send some pressure, some blitzes, yeah, you in no man's land. So, Romello Height and David Bailey, they own that matchup for sure. Like when we talked about the Utah matchup, it was a give and take. It was a back and forth. Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fano had their wins. And then you get Romello and David Bailey had their wins. In this game, yesterday it was mostly David Bailey and Romello Height getting the dub, Keith. But, they didn't win the game. And the reason why they didn't win that game is because of their quarterback, Behren Morton. That was I came into the game because I did this report. I think I gave him a late draftable grade to near undraftable grade. I wasn't really impressed with what I saw from him on film, and the stuff that I saw on tape showed up in this game. He was 18 of 32, 137 yards, completed 56% of his passes, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He averaged yards per attempt with 4.3. Like he truly held this offense back. The interception, I believe it was smash concept in the low red zone. And that shout out to, I didn't want to name him as a moneymaker because he's like a true freshman, but that number 4, the corner, yeah, man. Like for Oregon, that kid's, we're gonna be talking about him in just a couple years, Keith.
I think we haven't seen, and I'm listen, and to our listeners, this guy's a true freshman, so I haven't watched the film on him yet, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying, I don't think we've seen a true freshman corner have an impact like that since Derek Stingley. when LSU, obviously I was there, made that national championship run. But just having a true freshman playing that well, starting, making real plays like this reminded me of his game. Reminded me of Derek Stingley's game when we played in the SEC championship game. And Derek Stingley had the interceptions, the big time plays. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. And obviously, we gotta wait a couple years.
Yeah, we gotta wait a couple years. You know what I mean? 6'2", 203 pounds, targeted 7 times, allowed 2 catches, had 2 interceptions. And the way he baited Behren Morton into that throw where he's just playing right there in the flats, and Behren Morton does not. Crazy thing, Behren Morton stared that route down. Like he stared it down, didn't declare and check to see if there are any threats in the area, and he just let the throw go. And I'm like, no, like why did you throw that? Like if anything, read it, make sure there's no because what routes you have is like a quick curl or sit route, and then you got the corner route. And I'm like, well, if it's man. And you got that sit route, that little hitch route, that defender's going to be right there. Like, you need to make sure, like, where he is in relation to the route. And he threw it anyway, and it was an interception. And I was just like, man, in the red zone, especially the way Oregon's offense had been playing, they get like your defense gave you time and chance after that to score.
Yeah, I think that was the drive that could have put Texas Tech back in the football game, if I believe, right? Like that was the best chance they had. And I remember them being in the red zone, and I might have walked away for a couple minutes, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Like Texas Tech, I'm expecting like at least 3 points, right? And I come back, and Oregon has the football. And I'm like, well, what happened here, right? Like, how did that happen? So it definitely an untimely turnover that cost Texas Tech a lot, right? Because I think after that it was like, all right, this is kind of done, right? Like you kind of felt like, yeah, this is gonna be too much to overcome. But DP, get your hat, get your whistle, man. Hop in that locker room. We're about to pass out the game balls for the prospects that had the most to do with their teams winning. We're talking 2026 NFL draft prospects. We are going to talk about that coming up next.
Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. It's time to hand out our game balls of the week.
I'm calling game.
Keith, my game ball, and I we've done this pod long enough. I think I know you pretty well. You probably giving it to the same guy, Trinidad Chambliss. Trinidad Chambliss, quarterback for Ole Miss. Man, what a thriller that game was last night, Keith. And Trinidad showed up big time. Completed 65% of his passes, threw for 362 yards and 2 passing touchdowns against Kirby Smart and that Georgia defense. And it wasn't just throwing the ball, but it was a playmaking ability, right? That for those who play video games, especially play like NCAA and Madden, and you get those random moments where somebody like reverses field with the quarterback and you can't bring them down and then they still throw a touchdown and you're like, this isn't real. Well, then you watch Trinidad Chambliss and you're like, see, this is EA gets this stuff from people like you, Trinidad. Like he made multiple plays just with his legs last night, right? Where you got pressure up the middle of the offensive line and he bails out. He gets out. The throw to, I think it's Harrison Wallace down the right sideline. I think it was on a deep over route, or it was like a scramble drill. Puts it right on the face mask on the move. You know what I mean? The throw where he gets pressure, he spins out, I thought he was gonna get caught from behind if he kept trying to run. Then he identified, hey, I got somebody there, and he just Brett Favre forward lateral, like the forward lateral in the pitch or whatever. Then you get the other spin out that he like went back like 20 yards almost to the goal line and then reverse field and then threw it to. Now I'm gonna tell you that do not do this in the NFL. Like that is a hospital ball because he got Keion Lacey's a tough dude, so he got him lit up, but he kept his balance and then he was able to get the first down. I'm like, man, in the NFL, your receiver or running back, they're gonna talk to you in the locker room after a throw like that. It was like, listen, man, you almost got me knocked out just now. But he made play after play after play. And again, that throw to De'Zhaun Stribling, right? Like, if you don't, I think Georgia had just scored. So it was like I think Georgia had just took the lead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And everything. And it's like, that was one of the biggest plays of the game. If you don't make that throw, you don't make that play and get down the field with little time left, Georgia would be going up against Miami right now. So shout out to De'Zhaun Stribling, of course, but shout out to Trinidad Chambliss. He played a heck of a game to the point where I saw people tweeting that he's QB3 in the class, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
I'm about to jump in there and stir the pot. Let's stir the pot, DP. Let's stir the pot, baby. Listen, if you're Trinidad, and we've talked about this. I talked about this with two guys in particular. We talked about Trinidad early on. I talked about Darian Mensah. When you look at this quarterback class, DP, I'm sitting there saying, why not throw your name in the hat, right? And now we talked about the competition part of this, right? And we probably need to just talk about this for an entire show, right? But I'm gonna break this down real quick, right? Because you're right, game ball going to Trinidad Chambliss, honorary winners, Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor. Dominated that football game. Y'all are the reason why Miami won that football game. Y'all just took it to them, right? Defense that's probably going to have 4 or 5 guys drafted in the top 20 picks. Y'all two dominated the game. Y'all showed reason why. And I told you, it was never a length conversation for Ruben Bain. It's just a matter of you want a 280-pound edge rusher. The
100%.
But back to this quarterback conversation with Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, who's playing better, right? And we go back to this conversation. Jackson Dart wasn't a first-round pick at this point last year. Tyler Shuck wasn't a second-round pick last year at this point, right? So
people hated Tyler Shuck.
They didn't like him, right? And I'm sitting there wondering, like, okay, this guy's a D2 champion. You sit there and you look at the resume of what he's done this year. He didn't enter the season as a starter, right? He was not starting. Austin Simmons was Ole Miss starter. He came in because I think Austin Simmons was injured, right? He came in and took over the job. So there's a period of the team, the play callers getting to know him. He has to get to know them, right? And then you're watching him progressively get better. And then now we're talking about, and one thing Jackson Dart didn't do, play well in high leverage moments. And this young man is showing up, right? Like this, the first playoff game, you want to say cool, is Tulane, XYZ. This was Georgia. They lost to Georgia already. Trinidad didn't play. He played good, but he missed some things in the first game they played Georgia, right? And now you're neutral site, Sugar Bowl, big time college football playoff game, and he battled DP. It was not only it was that throw, but it was coming off of the contact of certain things. Remember, it was the face mask to Keion Lacey, right? They didn't call, and I forgot how that drive ended, but they had to respond, and then Georgia was starting to pick up momentum, and it gave the feeling of Georgia gonna win this football game.
I had that same gut feeling.
Yeah, it's like they're gonna figure it out. And then there was another. I believe there was a missed a drop by the tight end. Remember, he hit the tight end in the middle of the field, and it's supposed to be a big time explosive play, and the tight end dropped the football, and it was just like it started to seem like this was gonna unravel just enough for Georgia to pull his win off, right? And Georgia was gonna find a way to win, and it was gonna be a hallmark Kirby Smart type of win, right?
Right,
and we knew he was gonna say post game and all other things. But Trinidad pulled it together. Now, look in context of this class, for sure, you have your Fernando Mendoza's, your Ty Simpsons, right? Obviously Dante Moore is in that conversation, but after that, I mean, cut on the film. Why you can't say, okay, if you have a Cade Klubnik or a Garrett Nussmeier, like why can't you consider me playing in those situations? I'm a D2 national champion and I'm on my way. I made it to the semifinals. Let's see what happens, right? We have to play Ole Miss. I mean, we have to play Miami, and I'm gonna be go ahead and say it right now. I think they can beat Miami, right? Just the offensive firepower that they have. I think they could put up enough points to beat Miami. So I'm rethinking and reconsidering this entire, because I know he's declaring to come back, right? All I'm saying is, trying to get a waiver or something like that. All I'm saying is, if I'm Trinidad Chambliss, after that performance, I'm sitting there saying, I wonder what could happen, right?
Maybe I should declare. Maybe I should go to the. I mean, no, it's the conversation.
And we discuss it all the time, DP. It's the same thing. Didn't this happen with Cardale Jones, right? He had that national championship run, and then instead of going to the NFL, he came back, and then he wound up being a late round pick, because then everybody was able to pick away all his flaws.
I mean, we've been saying it all. We've been saying it all season, Keith. Like, we've been saying it all season for these quarterbacks. Darian Mensah, I know. Hey, listen, I get NIL thing. I know, like, you got some camaraderie and chemistry with the guys you have at Duke. You should have declared, because you going back to Duke. I don't know. I mean, the transfer portal just opened today. We'll see if they have enough NIL to bring some other pieces in and really be able to. Because I mean, when you look at what Miami has done, and Miami's dominated the portal. You know what I mean? Florida State, same thing.
Yeah. Just as recently with Garrett Nussmeier, DP. He was probably a first round top 50 pick if he'd have came out last year, right? Came back and think about the momentum, right? So it's not even just doing right in the transfer portal. There are so many nuanced things that have to go right. This is a young man that had Barry and Brown, Nick Anderson, right? Aaron Anderson, a young Chris Hilton. And we thought that they got the tight end from Oklahoma, Bowers Sharp, right? We thought that LSU was on a national championship trajectory, and Garrett Nussmeier had the potential to be the number 1 overall pick. That is not how we feel right now, right?
No.
That's probably not what's going to happen. So sometimes you have to just catch lightning in a bottle, man, and take advantage of it. And after that game, and I like I said, I paid attention to Darian Mensah's game too, and I think he played a good game. I don't think it was a great game, but he played a good game. And I'm like, listen, it's 2 young men that can spin the football, and in this draft class where it's hurting, why not come out, right? And then you look at next year, okay, you're going to compete with Arch, who's showing that he's probably a dual threat quarterback, right? Like the guy running for 200 yards. Then you still have a Lenore Sellers coming back. Then you still have to deal with a DJ Lag, where you have, all of these different
Nico Iamaleava, Dylan Raiola, Sorsby. Like, it's so many quarterbacks out there right now that all it takes is one hot strike of the iron, and like, yep, I'm leaving. Deuces. I'm going to the league. And you don't want to be in a class with if those guys hit and have big seasons, like they're going, like, at the end of the day, they're going to be, it's a beauty pageant at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to look
like, you got a lot of guys out there.
Too many guys. I would have definitely struck while the iron was hot. So, like, yeah, if Trinidad, hey, listen, just consider. I know you want to go back and get that one more. Listen, I'm just telling you, check with the NFL, see how they feel about you. Because after a game like that, the way he played, I'm pretty sure you got you some fans in the league right now.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, DP. I know part of the conversation may be him linked to Lane, right, with the whole LSU thing, and LSU may be a better destination to win a national champion. And obviously, I'm an LSU guy, right? I agree with that. But guess what? You 2 wins away. You're 2 wins away from being a national champion, right? Like, it doesn't get higher than winning a championship. So, like, you winning and then going to LSU does. I mean, you did what you came here to do anyway. So, take the storybook, I guess, writing, storytelling, whatever, and go ahead and cash it in. But I think it'll be interesting to see what those 2 young men do, because obviously they have time, right? You could declare and say we're not going to draft, but you still have time to reconsider and figure some things out. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast all by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find me on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.